Hello, everyone. This is Love Kher, and I'm here with Mr. KJ Sharma. Today, we are going to be talking about Dharma versus Karma. Sharma ji, my first question is can you please elaborate how Dharma and Karma are interrelated with each other?
Actually, karma and dharma are not only interrelated, actually, karma are dharma because every action are depending upon the property embedded into every creature in nature. That property drives all the actions. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna has defined about apara prakriti and para prakriti. Apara prakriti is whatever the objects we see around us or in the whole universe, those are all part of nature. And everyone, whether the tree or creature, whether the smallest creatures or the bigger animals or even human being, we are all embedded with certain properties. And because of those properties, all the actions are getting place. All the actions are performed. So the actions are considered dharma. For to understand that, let us take the example of the sun. What is the property of the sun? That sun is performing action
To emit light.
emit light and heat. So the karma, the action of the sun is to emit light and heat.
Mhm.
The same thing is called the dharma of sun is to emit light and heat. Similarly, every animal is embedded with certain properties, and because of those properties, they are driven to perform certain actions.
So,
And that action is their dharma.
so basically, you are saying Dharma equals Karma.
To greater extent, yes.
Hmm.
But karma's categories are many. For an example, let me tell you. See, karma, akarma, vikarma, nikrist karma, sukarma, kukarma. These are various kinds of karmas. But the main thing is that, but all the karmas are not dharma because whatever is the real property embedded by nature because of which when the animal or any object in nature is performing action, that action is their dharma. Like the dharma of the sun, I said, to emit light and heat. Similarly, pitra dharma, the father's dharma, father's karma is to take care of the family. Matru dharma, pitru dharma, putra dharma, rashtra dharma. These are so whatever the karma required for the nation, that is the dharma. So that karma is dharma. So that is rashtra dharma. Similarly, father performs towards the children, towards the family. He performs his duty as an action. That is the pitra dharma. So, so these are the kinds of dharma which are essential component of every living being to perform by virtue of being embedded with certain properties.
So, in other words, if a karma that is performed by a human being, if that karma happens to be for the betterment of family or society or people at large, then that is the dharma because he's doing something for the good of all living beings. On the other hand, if I perform an action of cutting the trees, killing the animals, that is not the dharma.
Yeah.
That is the distinction.
Yeah. So let me explain that also. So anything opposite of dharma is adharma.
Mhm.
Because you see, if the father's duty is to take care of the family and the children, that is his dharma.
Right.
But if he does not perform that, if he is performing opposite to that, then that becomes adharma. Because in nature, Lord Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita that in all the entire creation, though actually there is no creation, there is only manifestation. The, the supreme consciousness from Atma has manifested itself in the form of all the visible objects in nature, and the consciousness pervading the entire universe, and everything is happening within that.
Right.
So it's,
Okay, so that's good clarification about dharma and karma. The next question I would like you to elaborate is how does karma impacts our day-to-day lives?
yes. You see, all other animals and human beings, let us take that way first. Because every animal, every organism is performing its action as per the embedded property into them, they are performing their actions.
Mhm.
But as far as the human beings are concerned, human beings are given additional capacity that is called intelligence. All other creatures have got the mind. So every organism, including human being, they are all performing as per the nature has provided certain properties. The mind, their mind aspect is performing all actions. But in case of human being, the additional capacity of intelligence, which is much more evolved, because of that, human beings, they have the capacity to analyze and also know the result of every action they perform.
Mhm. So, in other words, can you say that intelligence is similar to what we call as free will?
Well, because of the intelligence, we know what is the dharma, what is the right karma to be performed. And knowingly that the result of this action is going to be adverse. In spite of that, if the human being perform the action which is otherwise, then that becomes adharma. So because of this situation, we say that the human beings have got the free will to choose the righteousness and the reverse of that, the opposite of that.
Right. So, in other words, I am I'm little confused between the intellect and the free will. Is there a difference between the two, or they are the same?
No, it isn't. We can't say that the same. Because of the intelligence, we are given the free will.
Okay.
Because of the intelligence, we can choose what to do, what not to do.
Mm. Up to certain limit.
Of course, in nature, everything has got its own limitation. Limitless is only the supreme Paramatma, which is infinite, limitless. Every creature, including human being, we all have certain limitations.
And free will, therefore.
So, because of the intelligence, we are given the capacity to choose what to do, what not to do. But other animals, they don't have that kind of a free will. Like for an instance, if if the parrot is there, if you give a parrot a piece of rotten meat, the parrot will never touch it, never eat it, because his mind is designed, embedded with the certain properties for his food, and his food is only fruits. So if you give a guava or a fruit to a vulture, vulture will never eat that fruit. So the vulture and the parrot, like other creatures or other animals, they don't have that kind of a free will. Whereas a human being has the free will and given the intelligence another capacity of intelligence to analyze. They, when they perform any action, they get bound by the result of the action. Whereas if the tiger is hungry and he kills an animal to eat, he is not committing a sin because he, the property of nature embedded into him to, to eat meat. And for that, he has to kill other animal and eat. So that is called bhog jhani. Whereas in case of human being, if a human being is hungry, he can choose whether he wants to eat vegetarian food or non-vegetarian food. And he knows, because of the intelligence he's given the capacity to analyze what will be the result of eating a vegetarian food and eating non-vegetarian food, whether he should eat vegetarian food or whether he should eat non-vegetarian. So here the choice is provided to him only because of the intelligence. Right. And because of the intelligence, whatever he chooses, he gets bound by the result of that action.
Correct. Correct. So my last question is, having said all that,
Yeah.
do you believe that we as human beings have any control on our karma, given that you said we have free will, or everything is destined to us by Lord?
It's little complicated, but definitely we have the control on our action. That is why we are given another capacity, that is intelligence. Because of intelligence, we can watch our mind, that in which direction the mind is going. And the mind functions in 6 ways. In Hindi, it is called Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh, Moh, and Matsarya. So these are the 6 ways the mind functions. These are the 6 ways the mind functions in every animal, every organism, every living being. But in case of human being, because of the intelligence also provided, the human being can analyze the result of all the actions driven by these properties embedded in human mind.
But many times, Sharmaji, we have noticed individually as well as in the history
Uh,
that the person understands these five, 6 ways of how the mind works and the actions are good or bad, in spite of knowing the consequences each action can bring, that if I perform sakaratmak action, I will get some good thing or otherwise. But still, mind tends to perform the wrong thing. So that tells me that intellectually I may know something, but there is some other thing that compels us to behave in a different way. For example, even in Mahabharata, Duryodhan tells Bhagwan Krishna that I know what dharma is, but I cannot perform dharmic way. Why is that?
yeah, you see, there are two factors. There are two factors. The factors are every karma is driven by even by your prarabdha. And the second factor is that how much of real knowledge you have acquired in this life. And to acquire the knowledge, you have to study good literature, ethical literatures, and your scriptures. If the human being they have acquired enough knowledge, then they are better equipped in their intelligence and in the mind to perform the action. But there is another factor which is called prarabdha. Prarabdha is in our life, we have got three kinds of results of action. One is that whatever we perform in present, the result of the action we have experienced, we have already got the result of that. Then that result is over. But all actions results we do not experience in this life, then what happens? That goes and gets stored. That is called Sanchit Karmaphala. And when we acquire next embodiment, then we draw certain amount of the result of the Sanchit Karmaphala, whatever had been stored, the result of our action, we draw some and we come in next embodiment. So in the next embodiment, when we again appear in a human body, then whatever happens in this life, without doing anything, that establishes the fact that result is not because of any action done in this life. That that is in a common language, people say bhagya. In Sanskrit, we call it prarabdha. And so this prarabdha is the third kind of result of your action. So there are three kinds. One is Vartman Karmfal, Sanchit Karmfal, or Prarabdha. So because of the Prarabdha, so in case as you quoted about Duryodhana, so Duryodhana in this life, he also studied, but he could not control himself because he brought his past life karmaphala, because of which his ignorance and his the bad result of his past life karma prevailed upon him to perform in this life.
Mhm. So
For
therefore,
that becomes beyond his control.
so in spite of the fact that he knew what dharmic thing is,
Yes.
but he could not do that because prarabdha karma was much stronger
Yeah.
than the present karma.
Yeah.
there.
To understand that, let me give you an example. A child is born in a very poor family in the hut, and a child is born in a very rich family, like in Ambani's family or a Ford's family or Rockefeller family. Now imagine one child is fed by golden spoon, and the other child is in the hut, the mosquitoes biting, not having nourishment. What action that child has performed right now, that one is suffering and one is having the luxury of life?
Yeah.
That establishes the result of the past life karma.
All right, thank you. Is there any other concluding statement or comment would you like to make so that we can close on this chapter on dharma versus karma?
Yes. So we should be always conscious. The human being should always be conscious that our karma is itself our dharma. When karma and dharma are understood rightly, then the human mind, human intelligence, we will always try to be on the path of dharma, the righteousness, rather than getting deluded because of ignorance and driven by, you know, the five, six functions of the mind and do wrong things. So when the karma as dharma is always born in the mind and carried on, then the human being will be performing the dharma, the karma as dharma.
Hmm.
Otherwise, because of the free will also provided out of ignorance, greed, or desire, or the, the five, six functions of the mind, one can perform otherwise, which will go laken dharma.
Yeah.
So that will be called adharma.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. And hope you all got some clarity about dharma versus karma. And until next time, thank you. And we'll see you next week.